I wonder what your prayer life currently feels like to you. And I ask that question because I often ask myself that question. One of the things that probably troubles me the most is my prayerlessness, my lack of prayer, my lack of satisfaction in the place of prayer. And I want to share just something in 2 or 3 minutes that will hopefully encourage us to be more prayerful. The night that is fading behind me, the light that is beginning to rise, do you know that well-known verse that the path of the righteous is like the first gleam of dawn, shining ever brighter until the full light of day. And that path of the righteous is surely the path of prayerfulness and increasing prayerfulness. Maybe you'd leave a comment in the comment section. How do you pray? How do you avoid prayerlessness? But if you look in Matthew 6 and Matthew 26 and Jesus' words about the Lord's Prayer, Jesus teaches in Matthew 6 as to how we should pray. He says, go into a room, close the door, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. Not using many words heaped up like the hypocrites do, because he already knows what we need. And then 20 chapters later in Matthew chapter 26, we see the travail of Jesus' soul as he takes his nearest and dearest into the Garden of Gethsemane. He takes the disciples, a larger group of disciples, and then he takes just the 3, Peter, James and John, the sons of Zebedee, into the travail of his soul. And it's maybe appropriate now, the turbulence on this boat, reflecting that trembling that would have been in Jesus' heart. But what touched me as I read it again this morning, as I called out to the Lord to help me to be more prayerful, help me against this wicked disease of prayerlessness, what touched me was when Jesus expressed his own sorrow to Peter, James and John, who were sleeping. He couldn't keep their heavy eyelids open to do what Jesus had told them to do, which is to watch and pray, lest you fall into temptation. Because, why? Because the spirit is willing, but the body is weak. And so, when I read that this morning and I saw Jesus once again confiding, as it were, expressing his own sorrow to Peter, James and John, it reminded me of Philippians chapter 3 and Paul's words, attaining in whatever way possible to the resurrection of the dead, but also in the fellowship of the sufferings of Christ. So when you see Jesus expressing the travail of his soul in Gethsemane to Peter, James and John, falling on his face before the Father, Lord, if it's possible for this cup to pass from me, yet not what I will, but what you will, O Lord. When I see that and when I see him expressing the sorrow of his soul, doesn't it make us all want to know something more of this fellowship, of the sufferings of Christ, in order that we may, by whatever means possible, attain to the resurrection of the dead? And so the prayerfulness of the Christian is the only way of the path of the righteous, shining ever brighter to the full light of day. And I'd encourage us all at this time in history, which in one sense feels like it's getting darker and darker and darker, to call to the Lord for help to be more prayerful.